Hi there, this is Chris from PC Gamer, and welcome to No Trace, a Dishonored diary series where I'm going to make all of Corvo's killings look like accidents or cock-ups, or do whatever I can to kind of mask the involvement of a masked assassin. Pun not intended, apparently. This is the Golden Cat Bathhouse. This is the third mission in the game, and I have two targets, the Pendleton twins, a pair of aristocrats who are here, I guess, drowning their sorrows in a brothel. Now, I'm going to skip over most of the action that kind of led me here from the streets outside, simply because there wasn't very much of it. I slipped past Dallard's men, evaded a watchtower, and kind of got to the mission itself without too much fuss, so let's get straight into the action itself. You know, so I'm kind of sneaking up here to grab this rune. You'll notice me do this a few times in the video. It's pretty important to get a lot of the more advanced powers pretty quickly to achieve the things I want to achieve, because making things look like an accident and kind of trying to is mostly about trying to establish a narrative of events, right? Here's the Golden Cat. Bad things are about to happen in here today, but I want the investigator or whoever looks into this afterwards to piece together a story that's entirely wrong, but entirely more plausible than what actually happened. But first we need to find our targets. This man will rue the day he didn't look up. He probably would have gotten his own squad if he had. Now here's a guard talking to Prudence, who's the madame of the brothel. She's just established that Morgan Pendleton is in the steam room, which does actually give me, well, if any one of them gets hurt, he'll lose his job. What if both of them got hurt to death, eh? Pressure builds up in the pipes. Now, this is the way you can make this look really easily like an accident. It's possible to replace a valve and boil Morgan alive in the steam room. That's not how I want to do this, but we'll get to that in a sec. First, let's listen. So, Custis is in the gold room, which is one of the big kind of fancy upstairs private chambers, which makes things a little bit harder. I was going to do a little bit of teleport ninja pickpocket action. That's the master key for the Golden Cat, so that means I can move freely from now onwards, pretty much, which is going to be important. So let's go for Morgan first. Now, as I was saying, it's possible to sort of rig the steam room to overheat and boil him alive. Not only is that kind of boring, I want to find a more creative solution. It's also, I guess, a little bit harder to explain. You actually have to replace a big clanking metal valve, and it seems, a little bit questionable. So I'm going to try and do something else. This lovelorn guard wanders off. Just going to nip down here to steal another rune. So yeah, it's pretty easy to get around this level without being seen, actually. I actually find it easier than the mission before this, just simply because there's so many overhead routes to almost every room in the level. Also, guards like this guy on the left are drunk, apparently. The perils of drinking are going to be a kind of a running theme, I guess. Because the Pendleton twins are men on the edge, which, as we get down to the bathhouse, this is the steam room. This is a pretty quick way to bypass a little bit of a chunk of the level and get straight onto the staircase. We'll hear a conversation at the bottom of the stairs that I think illuminates their mental state and kind of sets up that story I'm trying to tell about how this should come to pass.
Morgan will be in there all night. More coin for us. Though we'd make even more if they didn't blow it on prostitutes.
My cousin's a foreman at their mine. He says the slaves have dug half a mile down.
So this conversation establishes that the Pendletons are kind of getting desperate. Their mine is running out of silver, they're blowing all their money on prostitutes and booze. In that situation, it's kind of easy to set up a scenario where man might simply drink himself into, well, some pretty distasteful behavior. And to do that, I need to slip seamlessly into his steam room. And that means slipping seamlessly into the brain of a fish. I'm now a fish. Again, it would take a bit of a leap of logic to assume this is how the assassin made his way in. I'm going to tranquilize Morgan, and then try and stage a murder.
Help me!
Hopefully they heard that cry, actually. I kind of want that to have been... They might not remark on it now, but I want them to remember it later. It's time to make it look like Morgan has gotten drunk, killed a woman, and then either taken his own life or simply passed out and drowned in the bath. So that's our setup, that's our crime scene. But it's not complete yet. I want to establish that he'd been drinking. I want people to think that he, did this to himself. And I also want to confuse the timeline of events, and I want to make these guards culpable. I want to make them have some questions to answer that'll be pretty difficult. And that means making them do things. So this guard, as part of his patrol, simply, maybe he was asked, I don't know, picks up a bottle of whiskey, delivers it to Morgan in the steam room, leaves it on the floor as another piece of evidence, and then resumes to his duties. I don't think he'll adequately explain that. Nor will he adequately explain why he just chunned it all over his feet, and then decided to crush a rat.
Rat, damn you.
Good. And I think that's pretty seamless, actually. I think it's pretty difficult to explain that course of events the way they actually happened, where you see a murdered woman, a man having been drinking, drowned in the bath. It's a cautionary tale, if nothing else. So let's move on. Now, I'm actually going to free Emily, the princess, first, because before going after Custis, simply because it kind of breaks the mission up a little bit, and also I want to have the freedom to kind of escape quickly after I have dealt with the final Pendleton twin. Now, Emily is imprisoned in an upper room that isn't itself locked, and a conversation we'll hear in a second kind of establishes that that she's been trying to escape. There's unfortunately no way, based on how this mission is scripted, to make it look like someone else freed her, so I want to set up a narrative that says that she was been sneaking around the bathhouse, that she's responsible for her own escape, and it's just a coincidence that this has happened on the same day that both Pendleton twins have met with a terrible accident. First, I'm actually sneaking down here to get some Pierre's remedy, because I drink it like a man possessed, or a man who wants to possess other men, but, you know, never mind.
She's cute.
So these two women are discussing Emily and her repeated escape attempts.
Really?
That Emily knows where the VIP exit is, and that she knows that it's been locked now.
Why is she here anyway? Is she some niece of the Pendleton?
And so that means I essentially need to convince Prudence, the madame, that someone has been messing around in her office, that someone has been there. Like, for the first time in the series, I want people to suspect that someone has been up to something. I want them to think it's Emily. They understand that already that she's sneaky, so what I need to do is actually kind of make a bit of a fuss in here as she's got her back turned. So let's go in and hope we don't get spotted. I don't know why she has so many pictures of, well, the same pictures of prostitutes on her walls. Maybe it's just to remember names. So, open her cabinet, steal her delicious, delicious remedy, close the cabinet by accident, open the cabinet again, close the cabinet, open, yep, good. Take this bottle. Do whatever we can, really. There's a wine bottle in this cabinet, take that as well. The idea being simply to, I don't know, make it look suspicious after the fact. This, Prudence will think, is when Emily snuck in, took her keys, and made her way out. I also want Prudence to feel like she had been deceived at some point, that she was drawn away from her office. Unfortunately, her hearing is dreadful, as you'll kind of observe now. No one noticed, so I have to do this the old-fashioned way. By making a bit of a racket. So yeah, she knows something's up now. I don't think she would suspect that it's the Lord Protector wearing a mask, sneaking around, possessing fish. But hopefully she thinks that Emily's been up to something. So time to go get Emily. But on the way, more and more delicious rune. Don't mind me. Seamless. And we'll come and find Emily. Now, I found a new way of interacting with characters as part of Dishonored's cutscenes, actually. Corvo doesn't get to say very much, so I tried to kind of improvise.
Why are you wearing that mask? Corvo?
Oh, I actually genuinely think this is very sweet.
You're wearing a mask to sneak around, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
You told me you were head chopped off in the prison, dead, like Mother.
Nope.
That seems like a long time ago.
Yep.
But you're not dead.
Nope.
Now we can leave. I have a plan. I almost got away twice. There's a special door to come and go for
Yep.
special people, and I'll show you.
Yep.
And if anyone tries to stop us, you can fight
I
them.
probably won't, but yeah, okay, cool, let's go. That's pretty straightforward to get her to the exit, actually. She's pretty good at this. When she's Empress, she'll not need a Lord Protector, I reckon. Or at least not the world's most passive-aggressive Lord Protector. So it's just a question of letting her go, turning back, and going for the final target. I actually really like this conversation.
Unlock it so we can get away from this place. This place is on the river, so you must have come by boat.
It's a leap of judgment, but it's a nice way of getting around the fact that Corvo can't talk. That Emily just correctly assumes that there's a boat and she knows where the boat is. I guess one of the commenters on a previous video pointed out that I make fun of Dishonored's kind of little leaps of logic too much. I wouldn't take it too seriously. I have a huge fondness for this game, but it does sometimes kind of push the boundaries of believability a little bit. But then again, that's what I'm here to do, so I can't hold it against it too much. Now, if you followed the game when it was in the kind of promotional stage a few months ago, they did a take on this mission where both kills did look like accidents, actually. Boiled Morgan alive and ended up punting Custis off his balcony using wind blast, kind of making it look like a suicide. I don't want to do that, partly because it's been done, partly because actually the important thing now, other than stealing everything that is not nailed down, which is a line I think I've said in almost every No Trace video now, is to make the kills look different, right? If Morgan has drank himself into a pretty terrible crime and then, an early grave, I want Custis's death to look more like an accident, less like an act of self-destruction. Therefore, the suicide angle's out. I also want them to find the body and be able to kind of piece together the story. If I punt him into the sea, that's not going to happen. So, I've been thinking about this a lot, and also I want to be pretty careful about how I spend my runes. I don't want to necessarily pick up Wind Blast just to achieve one thing. So it's a question of kind of getting him into a situation where I can, I guess, make it look pretty mundane, but that's easier said than done. First I need to actually get into his room without raising any kind of alarm. I can get around the balcony as long as that guy's facing the other way, but it does require this guard here to turn around and peek through the keyhole. Pervert. As long as this guy doesn't turn around, I can just keep facing that way. So this conversation establishes Custis' mental state as well, actually, that he is ranting and raving and fed up. And I want to kind of take advantage of that and convince people that he, at this point, decided to simply leave. He wasn't in the mood. He was fed up and decided to leave the Golden Cat. And on the way out, he had an accident and lost his life. That's not exactly how this is going to go, unfortunately. It's time to possess him, kind of, as he takes a swig. Right mid-rant. I like that she notices the change in his behaviour. That's pretty useful. I want him to pick up his tonics and storm off. Even the guards notice, and then immediately go visit the prostitute. And as he's on his way down the stairs, the plan was Custis Pendleton throws up, slips in his own vomit, and dies. If you've ever accidentally dropped an unconscious body in Dishonored and ruined a non-lethal playthrough, you'll know how this works. I'm grabbing Ben time to give myself a bit more time to set up this perfect, very simple, very straightforward, elegant accident. But that's not how this is going to end. It turns out that Custis Pendleton is made of rubber. Even with time on my side, and admittedly this first throw was kind of crap, it took, well, shall we say, a few tries. Bugger it, let's treat this assassination attempt with the dignity it deserves. I am a master assassin. Yep, that was the many times you can fail to throw a man down the stairs to his death in Dishonored before finally having to find a steeper staircase. But, you know, no one saw, right? So that's seamless, right? That's no trace, right? We're going to have to hope so. Thanks for watching. Please rate and subscribe. Check back soon for more videos from PC Gamer.